Last time the last training we did the life lessons, life skill lessons that are going to happen. So at the end of this, with the time we have, if there's still questions about that, we can talk about that. This one here is going to really review on doctrinal mastery and the assessment. And these are some things that we're a little bit more familiar with. It's just some changes that are taking place there and just kind of some reviewing some things moving forward. Going to start with a little scenario here. You were discussing the new curriculum for 2025 with your team teachers. They're really excited for the life preparation lessons. They say to you, I am so glad that we are shifting our focus from doctrinal mastery to life preparation lessons. Class always struggled with the second doctrinal mastery day anyways. So it's nice that we don't need to worry about that any longer. How would you respond to that, teacher? And hopefully none of you are thinking, what's the problem?
Brother Denton?
Yeah.
I would just reply that doctrinal mastery is part of the goal of seminary, that the goal of seminary is to give them tools to, when they have questions in the gospel, to be able to find a way to search and find truth. And doctrinal mastery gives you that. So it's not a shift in focus, it's just an adding to.
Yeah. I love it. Love it. Very good. Yeah, great response to that. Anything anyone else would add? No, wonderful comment. I love this one by Elder Ballard. Did someone want to read that one for me? Marcia, can you see that one?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you.
It says, doctrinal mastery will focus on building and strengthening our students' faith in Jesus Christ and fortifying them with increased ability to live and apply the gospel in their lives. This initiative is inspired and timely. It will have a wonderful influence on our young people. However, the success of doctrinal mastery and of all the other programs of study in CES will depend to an important extent upon you.
Yeah. Anything in there kind of stand out to anybody that you like, and why it's important for our focus?
I don't know, maybe as teachers, we need to maybe take a step back from our teaching style and look and see, are we heavy on one thing? Are we not, how's our attitude about doctrinal mastery or whatever it may be? You can fill in the blank, and maybe we need to balance that out. So I think this quote kind of helps me to maybe step back and see, how am I imbalanced or am I balanced?
I love that. I love that.
It seems to me that both intents that we just talked about should dovetail together to reach the goals and the intent of seminary.
Yeah, to bless the students, right? And to strengthen them. Yeah, love that. Thank you, Steve.
I think,
yeah, go ahead.
I think one of the things that everything that we do in the church is what he says right there in the first section is to strengthen our faith in Jesus Christ. And so hopefully everything in seminary revolves around that, making sure that it's always strengthening our faith in Jesus Christ.
Love it. I love it. Very good. So I'm going to put this up. Hopefully you guys recognize this. Can you fill that in? And I would say this is more of a reflection on me and how well I've used this with you guys. But I think hopefully as you've taught doctrinal mastery over the last year, these are things that will be familiar to you. When we talk about, I'll just put it all in so we don't have to guess, right? When we talk about acquiring spiritual knowledge in those lessons, right? You guys recognize this, right? Acting in faith, eternal perspective, and divinely appointed sources. And then the mastering the doctrine, knowing and explaining it. Are they familiar with it? Can they memorize it? At least can they have an understanding of what those verses say from memory? And I think at the very least, can they know where to turn to find it and then applying that doctrine. So as we kind of get into this, really think about how the curriculum kind of focuses on these and gives us opportunities with our students to review these on a regular basis. So this really becomes almost second nature to them. Any thoughts or comments on that thing right there? And hopefully we'll do better, at least on my end, to putting this out there more and really doing training that focuses on this a little better. So doctrinal mastery, we talked about doctrinal mastery, just kind of the overhead view of it. The first one is in the introductory lessons. These are the life skill lessons. So in the life skill lessons, there are going to be 5 lessons that deal with doctrinal mastery. Along with that, doctrinal mastery scripture passages will be taught in the context along with "Come Follow Me." So we do get rid of that second day where we were used to, where that would be something where we would teach that just focus on the doctrinal mastery. We would teach it in the context in the first day and then focus on that the second day. So really that second day, you will just now teach it as it appears in the "Come Follow Me" in the pacing guide. And then there are doctrinal mastery practice lessons, and there's going to be 10 of them. So I'll show you how this lays out. Okay. So this is a calendar, and this is a little, I took this one anyways. This isn't the most current one that's back on my site. So if there looks like there's some errors in this as you're looking at it, I've got those fixed. So, but you'll notice up here, the blue is the doctrinal mastery passages or practice lessons. So every lesson or the block that we're teaching that has a doctrinal mastery verse in it is going to be highlighted in blue. So you can just look at that and know right off the bat that, hey, that's a doctrinal mastery. There can be a doctrinal mastery verse in there. And then you'll come to these solid squares, and that is the doctrinal mastery practice lesson. There are 10 of those. So I'm just going to zip forward through these. So we talk about these introduction lessons that are part of the life skill lessons. You'll recognize the kind of these topics because they have been focused on in the past. But the first one is strengthening your scriptural foundation, an introduction to doctrinal mastery. The second one is seeking personal revelation for my questions, acquiring spiritual knowledge, part 1. And then part 2, acting in faith to find answers, part 2. And then examining gospel topic and questions with an eternal perspective, and turning to divinely appointed sources. So those won't be blue in your in the pacing guide. They're just the orange color that reflect that they're a life skill lesson. But you're going to see 3 of them right at the beginning of the school year, starting in January. And then the last 2, 4 and 5, will be at the very beginning of the school year when they come back from summer. So instead of bumping them all there together, even though we talk about examining gospel topics and questions with an eternal perspective, and that 5th one, divinely appointed sources, you'll be reviewing it and you'll know that, but at least that lesson that really does concentrate on that, that life skill lesson won't be, it's just kind of put there at the beginning of that coming back from fall, just as a reminder and to get that fresh in their minds again. Okay. And again, best taught at the beginning of the year, right? So those are the life skill lessons. The doctrinal mastery passages. Well, so any questions on those on the, yeah, go ahead, Tammy.
Yeah. So are those introductory lessons or are those life skill lessons?
They're life skill lessons, but they're
Okay.
life skill lessons under the heading of doctrinal mastery.
Okay. Got it.
Yep.
I was like,
Okay.
wait, did we add another type of lesson? I was
Nope.
lost there for
No.
a minute.
So if
Okay.
let me go back and I'll just show you. So in January, right there. So let's see, strengthening your spiritual foundation, right?
Got it.
Then,
Okay.
seeking personal, and like I say, I put an old one up by accident. It reflects it better. But yeah, they're going to be orange, and they're under the heading of doctrinal mastery. So in the curriculum, when you go to the manual, when you go down to the bottom where all the life skills are, it's under doctrinal mastery. It's one of the topics, doctrinal mastery. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. Sorry. I put up the wrong calendar and I just realized that a little bit before we started.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I have another question.
Yeah, please.
So if we're teaching these first couple of lessons in January.
Mhm.
And then the last couple, at the beginning of the next school year. But what if, I don't know about anybody else, but I have all ages, freshman all the way to senior. And so if I'm teaching these last lessons at the beginning of the school year with freshmen, they've missed those first couple of lessons. And so I don't know, is there a way to rearrange it so that you're doing it at the beginning of the school year instead of doing it in January and then again in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we could put them in there. The thing, even though that's a lesson, because of the doctrinal mastery, those doctrinal mastery lessons do focus on those 5 things, right? The ask in faith, specifically the ask in faith, the eternal perspective, and the divinely appointed sources, right? Every doctrinal mastery focuses on these. These are just kind of the ones that were a little deeper. So, I mean, you're going to be teaching them anyways. I mean, pretty serious, because this is just what we do. I mean, almost every week we're reviewing these. We're doing something with these. At least we should be, where kids are having these experiences, at least as part of a review. But I mean, I could move those up there. Let me play with it and see and what I have to move around to do that. But we could do that. But don't think that, yeah, because it's those last 2, 4, and 5 are taught in August, that you're never going to talk about them before then, because you really are. I mean, you're going to be familiar with these, and your kids are going to have to be familiar with them. They were just put there as just another kind of a reminder and something to focus on, focus in on. Doc, those 3 things, ask in faith, or act in faith, and the eternal perspective, man, that is just almost something that we just want this to become so second nature to them that they just know it frontwards and backwards as they're talking about verses and issues and topics that come up, looking at it that way. So yeah, from day one, those are going to be things that you really do want to focus on. But that's a good question, and that does seem like an obvious thing maybe to fix. So I will see what we can do about that. Doctrinal mastery passages in your curriculum. When you open the curriculum, I couldn't get a very non-blurry thing blown up on that one, but you're going to see that little symbol right there. And so when you see that little symbol in your curriculum, that means that's the doctrinal mastery verse that's in that section. Just a few things on that one there. When you teach those lessons in the block, make sure you really do emphasize. I mean, there's going to be stuff in there to teach, but make sure that one's a priority. That doctrinal mastery that's in that block. Really emphasize it. Be sure to spend sufficient time studying it, so your students really do know and understand it. They know what the doctrine is in there. They understand it. And then students will need regular practice to memorize the references and key scripture phrases. And so give them time to do that. I think probably the best practice on those is, a little bit every day. It doesn't have to be long. It can just be something short, but it just gives them time to focus on that and work on those doctrinal mastery verses. Any questions on doctrinal mastery verses? And again, you guys have taught these, and you're just getting rid of that second day, still hopefully emphasizing them and working on them. We good on that? Doctrinal mastery practice lessons then, okay? So when we talk about doctrinal mastery review and learn and apply principles of ask, acquiring spiritual knowledge, which one's going to be heavier for us? Are we going to spend more time on? What would you say?
And that has got to be a trick question, brother. We equally balanced. We have to do them both the same.
One would think, maybe, and it probably is a little misleading diagram, right?
Yeah, I am not going to say one more than.
But we really want to spend more time on them learning and applying the principles of ask, and then doing the reviews as we put those in and as we hit those regularly. but really giving our students the opportunities to learn and apply and have those discussions, so they really are mastering, acquiring spiritual knowledge. Really, the act in faith, understanding how is they're talking about things, acting in faith, eternal perspective, and seeking out divinely appointed sources. Really want them to have that to become just a second nature to them, and really spending time on, especially these doctrinal mastery lessons. There's some good stuff in there, and we'll kind of get into a little bit of what those are. But then those doctrinal mastery reviews, you kind of hit those, and you give them opportunities to memorize and to review and set up some scenarios and stuff like that. But really do focus on those opportunities, as you're teaching them in the block and in these doctrinal mastery lessons. Really do get a good concentration and a good emphasis on these doctrinal mastery verses. Okay. Thoughts, comments? I mean, just your own personal experience with doctrinal mastery over the past year. I mean, how have you felt it's blessed your kids? What things have you seen that you've known that it's really been a blessing to your students? Yeah.
In our class, every morning we have a student devotional, and we have all the doctrinal masteries up on a bulletin board. And they pick a doctrinal mastery and they read it, and then they talk about what it means to them. And that can lead to a pretty nice class discussion on that doctrinal mastery before we jump into the lesson. That's one of the things that we're doing to incorporate a better understanding of the doctrinal mastery in our class.
I love it. Yeah, I mean that's wonderful. Good way of reviewing it. And I can't remember the teacher. I can't remember who I was seeing. Maybe you'll raise your hand if I say it. But one of the teachers, as they were doing doctorate, just the review, they had set up a scenario, or they were role playing a person that had a situation in their life, and then the kids had to figure out how to resolve that, or how they would answer or help that person using the doctrinal mastery. Does that ring a bell to someone in here? I can't remember who I was seeing. Dang it. Maybe they're not here. I'll have to go back and think. But it was really good because the kids had to go, hey, I recognize that problem. It was kind of fun to see them kind of work it out and give them responses based on how they would help her, and using doctrinal mastery, especially that act in faith. I loved how they were explaining, hey, act in faith and what that meant, and keep an eternal perspective. I mean, they're really going through those three things to really help them with that problem. And she just kind of, I think it was one of our sisters, but she was just kind of putting scenarios out there, so it gave them an opportunity to really go through all the things that they've been learning, what verses, and to then it just they had to kind of sort through that and just work it and role play it with her, and it was really kind of fun what she did there. And I think it was helpful to the kids. They seemed to really get into that. Yeah, please. Was it you, Tammy?
Yeah, that was me. I think I had to step away for a minute, but I did something not the same, but kind of similar, is I had the kids all write down a problem they faced as youth, and then I put it in a basket, and they didn't get their same one back, and no one had their names on them. So they all took a problem that youth faced, and then they had to come up with a doctrinal mastery that they could use to help with that problem. And then they presented their solution to the class. So
I love it. Yeah. That kind of stuff right there is perfect. Yeah. And it doesn't take long. Whoever did that, if that was you, I mean, it was just right. It was just a little bit right at the very first of the lesson. It didn't take a lot of time. It was just a good review. And it just helps cementing that in their mind and using it and being familiar with it. Yeah. So I love it. Thank you. Thank you for that. The doctrinal mastery practice lessons, as they fall in thing, there's 10 of them. There's one at about lesson 20, give or take. There's one at about lesson 20 and one another. The second one is about 10 lessons later. Then about 20 lessons later, another one about 20 lessons later, that get you all the way to the school year. The only thing is because of summer, you miss lesson review 5 and 6 because you're not going to be in school. All right. So when you come back, there's just got to be a little bit of kind of reviewing back over those and just kind of keeping them in their foremind of what those verses are and those doctrinal mastery things that they miss. I can't remember how many they miss in there. I counted one time and I can't remember, but there's a few that they do miss in there. Maybe 5, 4, maybe 5, I can't remember. And then remember this here too, just on the side, but in the appendix. So when you go into the curriculum manual, clear at the very bottom, when you scroll down to the very bottom in the appendix, you click on that. It gives you 19 doctrinal mastery review activities. It gives you some good stuff in there to do just as reviews. And there's some, I would really challenge you to go in there and look at those. Just scroll all the way down to the appendix, and there's a few things in there that are really helpful to you. But there's one of them: 19 doctrinal mastery review activities that you can use. That just kind of gives a good variety, things that don't take long, but that you can just sprinkle in just to help them review on top of these lessons that they'll have, where they really do get to dive in. And on top of where you teach it, but it really does give them some good exposure and some good understanding and opportunities to apply in these lessons. Okay. Any question with doctrinal mastery practice lessons? Hopefully you get on a look at those, be familiar with those. You'll teach really 8 of the 10 there. Let's see. Learn and apply principles. Oh, just with this one here. Remember that, and I've heard this as kind of feedback a little bit from some of you guys. Remember that even though one or students know the principles really well, others may still need more time to practice. Just do your very best to help them feel confident with it, and just so they really do get to understand these principles of acquiring spiritual knowledge. We always have those students that really do excel, and sometimes we kind of base our success on those students. And sometimes we do forget those that are struggling with it. And so we almost have to think a little bit, it's good that those kids and use those kids. How maybe it's good to have those kids help. But even with those kids that seem to struggle with it, just do your best to get them familiar with it. And it's a year-long effort, right? To get them to understand these principles and to use them. So it's good for these kids that really do pick it up easy, but don't leave the other ones behind. Keep working with them, and use those kids that are getting really well to help and be a blessing to the other kids. Any thoughts on that one there? I think we probably all have experiences with that kind of situation where we do have some of the kids we feel like and we just kind of move on with the group that seems to be getting it really well. And it's hard to slow down and make sure we gather everybody back up and make sure we're all in the same effort again. In the reviewing principles of acquiring spiritual knowledge ideas, there's 8 review activities in the appendix as part of that one too. So that's a good place to look for those. And just kind of remember this: as students engage in regular practice with doctrinal mastery, faithful responses to challenges will become natural and instinctive. And that really is what the First Presidency of Quorum 12 really want for these students. They want them, as things come up in their life, how they respond to it can really just be a natural, instinctive thing to do. And it doesn't have to become such a crisis to them, but they can tackle these in a good, faithful way and keep the eternal perspective. And when they start seeing things that come from other sources and things like that, it kicks into their mind, hey, seek divinely appointed sources, and they can see how that's blessed them as they've done this through their seminary experience. Okay. Thoughts. I think the next one we're going to go to let me mention this one here too, and then we'll adopt. So in the practice, when you get to those lessons, there's the practice examples in there. It gives you a lot of scenarios to practice with. I think that one teacher, whoever that was using some of these scenarios that we can find. But try to preserve the main questions or concerns in those scenarios. This really did come from the training from church headquarters. Is like they have really put a lot of time and effort into those scenarios, to bless the kids and give them an experience that kind of reflects with what's being taught. So you can kind of adapt those a little bit and change them to something that might be kind of more relevant to them, but try to keep the questions and those things that they're asking concerning those things, kind of keep those where they're at, because they really want those they've kind of been planned that way. So as you look at those scenarios, you'll kind of see, I can tweak this a little bit, but really do maintain the focus of the questions they're asking and what they're trying to get to. Okay. On that one there. Skills to effectively teach doctrinal mastery. These are kind of the best practices that they found, going back and looking at these. Explain the reason for the doctrinal mastery activities. As you do these, just always remind them, what the reason is for them, so they think about these, and as situations arise in their life, these kind of come back to them. Invite students to review principles acquiring spiritual knowledge. Help them know those things. If you say ask, ASK, can they list those principles off? I mean, how confident are your students could list those off right now? And we've even had those as part of those aren't new things, right? Those are things that we've been teaching our students for the last 3 or 4 years now, probably 5 years, 2016 maybe. But how confident are you that your students, if you talked about principles of acquiring spiritual knowledge, they could list those things? And so we want to really make sure that they're reviewing those so they understand those. Ask questions that help students verbalize how the principles of acquiring spiritual knowledge can help in real life situations. And I think those are part of the review things that you do. Give them opportunities to do those things and to talk about real life situations and how this can help. These things come up all the times in your lessons, hopefully. And I think it's a good thing. Just pause and say, hey, how would you use principles of acquiring spiritual knowledge to help answer this, or to help this person, or to help yourself? It's just getting in the mindset of just talking about them and reviewing them. Thoughts, comments on this? I know we're plowing through this. Okay. Anything on Dr. Mass before we go to assessment? Okay, assessments. Recognizing their learning and growth can be rewarding and motivating experience for students. The assessment, we've done the assessment now for a number of years, and it's kind of changed. And this one here is probably still reflects pretty much what we're doing. It's just taking advantage of it and using it in a way that blesses our students. So a lot of this, I think, will just be review. Can I get someone to read that one there for us? Tammy, you got it?
I got it. Assessments. This is similar to when a competitive runner sees her time on a stopwatch, or when a young child sees his growth on a height chart. Students often do not realize how they are growing without regular opportunities to assess their learning. Even opportunities to see that they have made no progress, or even that they have fallen backwards in their growth, can be valuable learning experiences. Regular assessments can invite more personal revelation into their lives and help students create plans for future growth and learning.
Very good. So as we think about the assessments that we've done, and we've had the assessment reviews for this past year, anyone had any special kind of experience with these assessments where you really felt like kids were able to see some things that have happened in their lives, or they've been able to gauge some growth that they've had over the course of a year, or months, or weeks?
In my class, when I have everybody there, I have 6 students. And it ranges all the way from students who just are top of the class anywhere they would go, I think, to students that struggle. And there's one young lady that during an assessment time was really discouraged because she had fallen behind quite a bit. it gave me an opportunity to counsel with her and talk with her, and we went through some makeup work that she can do, and I think the bottom line is, by the end of it, it gave me the opportunity to testify to her, and I believe it was Elder Holland that made this more famous, that Christ is not a referee, a heartless referee looking for an excuse to kick us out, but is there, now I'm paraphrasing, loving us and bringing us in. She was on the point of, I'm not going to pass, why should I even go, to, oh, I can do this. And yes, it's really not that hard. And I don't know what other people's experiences are, but even in my small class, it really ran the whole gamut.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thanks for sharing that. Good. Good. Any other thoughts about what Dan said there, his experience, or your own? What can be a danger here?
Comparison.
Yeah, why?
Because, just like the other brother was saying, that every student is at a different level in spirituality and where they are on their journey to know Christ. And when they see somebody else getting everything right and always knowing the doctrinal mastery and all that stuff, it can really maybe stifle their effort into to learning for themselves. And
yeah, I love that. So how do we as teachers to help that to not, how do we turn this into a positive thing for all of our students?
My focus has always been on their personal testimonies, and they can recognize, and I put an effort into teaching, helping them recognize the Spirit. And if they can recognize their personal testimony, maybe they're not so intimidated if they don't know the answers right off the top of their head as quick as somebody else. I think personal testimony is one of the big keys.
Yeah, I love that.
And specifically when it comes to the assessments, I usually don't make the results of the assessments public. I mean, everybody does their own, sees their own, and they can monitor their own growth, but I don't tout one versus the other.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, as far as, so let me go back and let me see if I can do this quicker. So if we go back, I'll just look at this one here, but like there's an assess your learning. So these assess your learnings happen about every 4 to 5 weeks in there. And these are, and again, they're just, it's, and I had to put this one here. Let's see. Oh, there's a good example of one right there. See, some of the lessons have the little asterisk by them. When you see those lessons that have the asterisk by them, that means that lesson has something in there that will show up on the assessment. So as you're looking at those asterisks, that's kind of just a little clue to you that that's going to be something that's going to be part of the assessment. So it's kind of good to look at those, or go look at the assessment that's coming up and seeing what they're looking at and what are they kind of wanting to emphasize there in that. And then but yeah, I think and that's a good point, Craig, is especially if there's especially if they're given one of the written ones out, to send home or something. Yeah, we're not publishing those and getting those kids. But yeah, it's just, I think this is a discussion that we just have to have with our kids when we talk about assessing, is that this is just a time for personal growth. And listen, everybody's on a different is going to be different on this. Heavenly Father doesn't judge us compared to another person. All he's doing is he's looking at our growth, and this is an opportunity for you to see your growth. One of the things that the church did when they were coming up with some of the curriculum stuff, but they were looking at things that kids, and why this kind of got put in there was that a lot of kids will go through seminary and they have a hard time recognizing that they're having growing experiences and that they've experienced growth. And this was an opportunity for kids to pause and take a look and see things that's been taught, and then coming back and allowing them to see that, hey, things are changing. And even if it's something in the negative, at least it's something that, you know, the Spirit can work with them and go, hey, you know, there's an opportunity to do better. And us as teachers we're not pounding that on them. We shouldn't be. This is something that allows them to see it for themselves and to make those adjustments basis as the Spirit moves them to do it. So we really do want to be careful as teachers not to use these as a bully stick to pound them along the way and make them have a bad experience with it. I need to move something here just a second. Come back to. These are assess your learning lessons, 10 lessons, 4 to 6 weeks, outcomes, explain the doctrine. As you look at those, these are explain the doctrine, reflect on their feelings and attitudes and desires, review plans or goals they are working on. These are just good opportunities for them to kind of focus on those things and to have opportunities to explain and to share things. I think sometimes these are opportunities for teachers to meet with students and just see how things are going with them as you're talking with them individually. And it's a good time for teachers. I think sometimes our students like to hear our teachers say, hey, what are some of the good things that you as teachers are seeing in their lives? And I think students appreciate teachers that see things, and you will see things in their life that sometimes they don't see. And it's nice as teachers. It's nice to have teachers that can help them see some of these things, and priesthood leaders and parents obviously do these things. But never forget the opportunity that you have to lift and build students in as they assess their own personal growth. Any other thoughts on that? Experiences that you've had with students on this? Yeah, Tammy, go ahead.
I have one. Yeah. So I think for me, this is where it's important for me to know my audience, right? Like to really know the students, because most of them are water polo players. Almost my entire class plays water polo. So they're out there doing something physical and they're in the gym. So I kind of just compared their spiritual learning to, you're not going to walk into a gym and see everyone doing the same exact thing, right? The person that's there the first day isn't going to be lifting the same as the person that's been going to the gym since they were 2 years old, right? So, but I think it helped them to see that it's just good that they're there, right? If you're in a gym working out your body, it's just good that you're there. It's the same with seminary. Like, I'm glad you're here. You're not all going to be at the same level, but we're going to just keep moving forward together. So I think just knowing them and being able to compare it to something that they can relate to, takes a little bit of pressure off of them.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's great and a great illustration. I think I was in your class when you actually used that one too. I was like, I remember all the water polo players that were.
Oh, I had them tell me how to play water polo and then say, I'm ready,
yeah.
coach, put me in. They told me how to do it. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, very good. Well, and I think something you said there reminded me, even a kid that's just coming, that doesn't even want to be there, but at least they're coming. At least that's some growth on their, versus they could have chose to not come and have a fight with their parent and do these things. But I think there's an opportunity for kids, even the kid just like that, to say, hey, sometimes there's things we do that we don't want to do it, but we do it because our parents ask us. And that's an opportunity to say, hey, that's true. That's a good thing, right? So
sure.
even find little things like that, I think can help our students. Good. Anyone else?
Well, and I've used, the Lord gives us weakness. We might, know our human nature and our weaknesses can become our strengths.
Yeah. Yeah, good. I love that. Yeah, those kind of discussions. I love it. Um, just think about this one here. So talking about those learning lessons, each lesson begins in a general way, providing students with an opportunity to share anything they have learned recently from their study of the scriptures individually or with family in church meetings or in seminary. Then look at each of the assessment activities and the assess your learning lessons, right? So it kind of that's kind of how those are set up. But I think the powerful part is that first part there when you just talk about giving them opportunities to talk about what they're learning, and just not in seminary but in their personal scripture study. I think if we can kind of get this is an expectation that is just that's expected, that you have, that they're having these opportunities on their own. And obviously they're going to get taught with it, they're going to learn things in class, but if they can come back and start sharing things that they're learning on own, and they can hear others, their experience, it just starts to make this something that um, that they want to do and can do, and have experiences of growth doing it. And then the parts of the assessment activities are there's some good stuff. And again, go back to the appendix. There's some great stuff in there. There's another list of things for the assessment learning in there, that and things that you can do that can help give some good variety to that. Thoughts, comments on anything there? I have to tell you, so I had my Africa class on last week, and one of them was on Thursday, so Thanksgiving. And because they're Africa class, I thought I'm not going to cancel it because they don't celebrate Thanksgiving, right? Like we do. And so I got up in the morning. It was a 9 o'clock class. And I got up, I was studying my scriptures, and me and my wife got into a discussion about doing Come Follow Me. And I totally forgot my class. I totally forgot it. Matter of fact, we were at dinner that night, and one of the people we were having dinner with said, so that she was asking what I do for my work. I told her what I was, and I said, yeah, I said, and I have a class. I said, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, like, oh, I had a class this morning that I totally bailed on. And so I got on my phone. We have a WhatsApp group in Africa, and I said, hey, I totally apologize. I have no excuse. I said, it's inexcusable that the teacher forget a class. So on Monday, when I come back into work on Monday, I went to Zoom, and I told everybody, I said, I'll just give you credit for if you logged on. And so, when you go to Zoom, it tells you everybody's logged on, and it tells you how long they stayed in class. And so I just got on there just to give them credit. And I was amazed. They stayed the full 60 minutes, and they just had the discussion on their own. And I thought, man, I got back on stage. I said, I could tell that I am really not needed. You guys they just had the class on their own. They just had the discussion on their own. I went back and looked at their things. And now, in grant, these aren't high school kids, right? I mean, these are 20 to, I think my oldest one is in her 60s, right? I mean, so these are grown-ups. But I just love the fact that, hey, even though I wasn't there, they just carried on. They could have said, hey, the teacher's not here, hallelujah, we're not going to do anything. But they just stayed on and had the discussion and just moved on. And I think our kids can be trained to do that. I think that was just an age thing on their part, and they just were mature to do that. But I think we can get our kids to have these experiences on their own, and so they can have these experiences with the scriptures and with the Spirit. And it doesn't have to be in our seminary class all the time. I mean, we really want this to be something that they do after they leave our class, right? And this is just an opportunity for us to do that with them and give them those experiences. Course credit for assessment. I think this hasn't changed from what we've done this last year. Students need to participate in at least one assessment. Assess your learning lesson during each half of the course to receive credit for seminary graduation. So there's 10 of them. They just have to hit one of them. We know that they're going to hit more than that. We know that they are, but they only need that to get the assessment credit or the Elevate Learning credit. Okay, just one of them out of those things. If a student misses, you will need to provide them with the appropriate assess your learning lesson look. So in the appendix, there's an assessment that you can send to them or give to them. You can print it out and give it to them, or you can email it to them, but just send it to them. And they can do that on their own. They can do that with their family. They can do that with other group of kids. However, they just do it and give it and report back to you that they did it. They can turn it back into you and give it to you, and or they can just say, "Hey, I did it," and you don't necessarily need to grade it. You just need to know that they did it. They just need to report back that they did it. Okay. There's a part 1, which is first half of the year, part 2, and you'll see that in the appendix. So if kids miss, which maybe you will, but hopefully you don't have that much. I mean, of all those opportunities they had to attend or to hit at least one, that shouldn't be an issue. All right. And just again, encourage them to share the responses that are not too personal with parents, siblings, church leaders. This opportunity for students to share can allow the Holy Ghost to teach and testify to them about truths of the gospel and invite them to take additional steps in their Christ-centered discipleship. When they return it to you, you might also invite them to share 1 or 2 of their responses if they are not too personal. I think maybe, and I copied that out of the thing, so I think maybe they are asking them to return it. I think in the past they just had to tell us, but I think maybe they are asking this to return that, so you have an opportunity. I think they really want you to have that dialogue with students, and that gives you an opportunity to have that dialogue with them. Okay. Last, I think, assessment activity. Oh, assessment activities for life preparation lessons. Seminary teachers can enhance upcoming assess your learning lessons by including assessment activities related to life preparation categories that students have recently studied in seminary. You can either add these activities to the assess your learning lessons or replace existing assessments. You can find suggested assessments for each category of life lesson in the appendix. And again, go back to the appendix. And what I did in the curriculum, when you'll see one of those assessments, I've put a block in there, just kind of an orange block, say, hey, you might cover this part of the assessment or this part of the life skill lesson in the assessment. So I kind of went through and did that, if that's helpful. But you can kind of mix that up and do it as your own. But at least the reminders there as you look in the pacing guide that there's an opportunity to do that there. And then just go to the appendix and there's some stuff there to help you with that. Okay. And I think, oh yeah, so I just put that picture there's the appendix, Doctrinal Mastery Review activities, assess your learning activities, assess your learning lessons and makeup work. So there's just things in there to help you. Okay. That's all of that stuff. Doctrinal Mastery Assessment. Any questions, comments, concerns? I know we blasted through a ton of stuff there. Hopefully we've done these doctrinal masteries. There's not too much we're changing on this. If we just need to re-emphasize our focus on it. And, yeah. Go ahead, Ed.
I hope this doesn't derail too much. I tried a couple of days ago to print out the pacing guide that's on your website.
Yeah,
maybe
you
that's
can't.
not ready yet. No, I couldn't.
Yeah, you can't do it, and I don't know how to make it do it. I'm having issues with my website. I can't even put videos on there because I got the free version and I've maxed out my things, so I've got to do something different. But what I will do is I will email out the 5-week and the 4-week as just an attachment to the email that you come at. That way you just have it on your computer, or you can print it that way. Okay. I actually did that for one person. I can't remember who I did that for, but someone already asked me that. So I will make sure that goes out this week on that email I send out, so you have it. Okay.
You can also snip it and put it in a Word document, and then you can print it.
Yes, you can do that too if you want to do that. But I'll just send it out in the email, so you have both whichever one you need. And it's just a PDF, so you can open it and print it without going to that website.
The nice thing about the PDF, because you sent me one of those, is the links still work. As opposed to the snips, it doesn't work.
That's a good point. Yes, good point. Okay, good. Okay,
I have
any
a clarification.
clarify.
For teachers who have taught a long time, when we did assessments, we just did them once, right?
Yeah, so last year we did one. You had the opportunity to, the wording was still there that if they attended one of them, but we never really emphasized that. We had
now
been
we're
doing,
changing to they will have multiple times and any one of those would count towards credit at the end of the year.
yeah, they want to take this transition away from, hey, this is one thing that we do, into this is something that we do regularly through the semester. And if they hit at least one of them, which we hope they'll hit most
But
of
any
them.
one of those counts for their final assessment?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, and you'll just have to,
Thank
and
you,
you can
Karen,
go
for
back
that
and look and you can make that change. You can actually record that in WISE. If they attend, one of those days you do assessment, if you just want to go in and then mark, hey, assessment in their credit thing, you can click yes, and it's done. If you want to track it that way, but you'll know you'll know what students have missed and what haven't. You'll know.
But
Yeah.
they have multiple opportunities instead of one and done.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we want these to be regular. And it used to be last year we said, because even though those were on the calendar, we said what Salt Lake was telling us, you could either do those or not do them, but at least do the one at the end. But now they're saying, hey, don't skip those reviews. Those elevate or those assess your learning. In the past, where they kind of, if those that had done any reading on it said, yeah, you could skip those, but don't skip those. I mean, have experiences with them. Don't skip the blue thing. So if we go back, this just as a reminder too, let's see. Like when you're, I mean, if you look at that April week 1, and I think we talked about this, but if you were going to skip a lesson there, I mean, if something happened, and this is the 4-day week, right? If something had to be skipped there, which one do you skip? Besides the one that says skip, because you're already on a 4-day anyways.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Will you skip Wednesday? Yep, you skip Wednesday. Don't skip Doctrinal Masteries. Don't skip the learning life lesson skills. All right. So if you have to sacrifice a lesson, and remember, we're being Christ-centered, scripture-based, student-focused on anything we teach, right? But the brethren feel like, hey, those doctrinal masteries are critical. These life skill lessons are critical. They're still going to focus on Christ. So make sure that they get that. Normally, you're not going to have to choose. I mean, things just flow pretty good, but every now and then you're going to have to choose. If something has to be dropped, make sure you're like on, the week 20 to 21st, don't drop the assessment, drop one of the other ones if you have to do that. And hopefully that'll be an exception where that will have to happen through the year. And we realize it probably will once or twice, but focus on those things that the blue and the life skill lessons and in the learning, in the assess your learnings. Okay. Anything else on life skill lessons? Anything that's come up there since we've talked last? Okay. Reach out if things do come up, let us know. Carrie's really good. She's a master of this stuff. She understands it. And you know how prompt she is on emails. I mean, you will get answers to questions you didn't even ask. So, but it's good because sometimes we don't know sometimes, and sometimes we get an answer and we go, hey, that's helpful. So we're glad that she does that. So, but let us know if there's anything we can do. If there's more training that we need, let me know. I know we need to get with some of you that are new. We welcome Steve. Steve's new to us, so welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
Roger is our Morgan Hill stake rep, so we're grateful that he's with us. For those that are in Morgan Hill, Anyone else new here? I think that's it. So welcome you guys. So if there's nothing else, our time is up. I think we keep it to an hour? We did really good. So and then I'll be the last one off. Anyone wants to talk, if you have other things you just want to bring up outside the group, then we can do that. But thank you so much for being here. Have a great Christmas break. Thanks for all you do. We sure do appreciate it. I think Carrie's got everything input and ready for next semester, correct? So I think you just need to adjust your time thing on your
Yeah,
on
that's
Wise
the biggest issue, is making sure you've got the right year and the right
year. Yep.
or you won't find it. You'll go to the old one and go, what the?
Yeah. So change the year and you'll find it there. Make sure this is a great opportunity to go invite students that should be in our class that aren't. It's that I think the Spirit works on people. That New Year's tends to be a miracle for people. They kind of get this sense of, hey, make some improvements, do something different. And sometimes that invitation to come to seminary is just what they need this time of year to align with maybe some things that they're thinking and the way the Spirit's working with them. So as you look at your list of potential students that you could have, it's a great time of year right now to go back out and just give them an invitation and visit them and let them know. You talk about the new things that are happening, and it's some of the fun things that can happen for them, and give an opportunity to at least give them the opportunity to use their agency and see what the Lord can do with them that way. Great time of year. So thank you again for all you do. Sure appreciate you. Let's have a closing prayer.
Before we leave, just want to put a plug in for Helen's crash exhibit up in Palo Alto starting Saturday. Saturday to Wednesday, noon to 8:30.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. And for those that live in the Saratoga stake, at least, they are still in dire need of volunteers. So if you can volunteer, go up and do that. That is a great thing. If you're involved with that, love it. It's been there. I've done it every year I've been here, and I just love it going and working there and helping out. So
Helen's one of the co-chairs.
Oh, good. Yeah. So yeah, they're always needing help and volunteers.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Good. Roger, would you mind giving us? Craig prayed good. Would you give us the closing prayer, Roger?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this wonderful morning. We're grateful for this opportunity we have to come together as leaders and seminary teachers and to learn more about doctrinal mastery. And we're grateful for Brother Ditton and for his preparation in this. We're grateful for our seminary students, and please bless them that they'll have their testimony strengthened and come closer to Christ through their seminary studies. And we're grateful again for the many blessings that Thou hast given to us. And this is our prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Carrie, I have a quick question before you leave.
Okay.
James Ross, what is he missing?
Let me get out of full screen.
He's my senior and he has that little red mark, but I can't tell what it is he's missing.
Okay, hold on. Oh, don't tell me I have to sign in again.
I think it might be reading, but I checked with him and he's done all his reading. So might just maybe didn't get marked one year.
Ross.
James.
Yeah, hold on.
Because I have two. I have Colin Ross and James Ross. This is James.
Yay. Reading for New Testament, second semester.
Okay, can you just mark it for him then? Because I checked and he said he's done all his reading. for all the years. So it just probably didn't get marked.
Reading, yes. Save. Okay, you got it. No issues
Okay,
then.
thank you.
You're
Have-
welcome.
What's that?
I
Oh,
said
thanks.
no problem. Yeah,
Have a great day.
thank you, you too.
See you, Tammy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What you got, Marcia?
Hey, so I am trying to figure still out Cesar, and I'm not quite sure how to. I just got a thing from CES, I think, regarding an application to BYU, and I don't even know how to. It's just got such a. He's not coming to seminary, but I don't think it's his fault. And I know this, he's such a great kid. His parents don't speak English. They're in the branch. He's got a little brother. His mom has this thing, this illness, I don't even know what to call it, where she blacks out, but she's still here. You know, her eyes are open, but there's nothing in there. And I've seen her go through that one time. It's kind of scary. And he is relied on so much that he's just got this weight on his shoulders that I know his dad is not active. He goes through activity. They've been sealed in the temple. His mom was reactivated maybe, 10 years ago, maybe. And so then the father got baptized, and it was really, so they have this thing. And I'm trying to explain to everybody how seminary works. I feel like, I think Carrie sent me what he needs to make up, and he does want to make up. And now I've got this where I have to explain to the church schools about his situation, and I want them to understand what a great kid he is, and I think once he gets away from home, because he has so much on his shoulders and so much is expected. They own a business down 45 minutes away south, not even in our state. It's in Paso Robles, and the dad's down there all the time. So I know the mom is relying on him. They rely on him for translation, all kinds of stuff.
Right. Yeah. So listen, on those, like, is this BYU Idaho or BYU?
All of them. He's applied to all of them.
All of them. Yeah. So I would just listen. I mean, if you can do the makeup, and get that on there. I mean, obviously you don't want to lie on the application in terms of that stuff, right? But I think more important than that is what you write. Because I've seen kids that have not gotten very good, but because of exactly what you're talking about, it's just let them know what his situation is. And I would really say stuff like you just said, that how this would be a blessing to him, and that's what they're gonna put more weight on that.
Okay.
Than on that other stuff.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
And I would even say in there, Marcia, I would say, I would really like to talk to a person, talk to someone in person about him. Just put that in your thing.
Okay.
So that they could even call you. Because I think sometimes hearing your passion for it comes across better in person.
Okay.
Than in writing.
Okay.
And I've had them reach out to me where I've done that before. I don't do a lot now just because I don't teach. I'm not in the seminary, but when I was teaching, I would, and sometimes I say, hey, I need to talk to you about this kid.
Okay.
So you really do get, this isn't doing us justice, what we need to discuss here. So, and they're good. They were good at calling back.
Okay. All right. So I have given him his reading to start with over Thanksgiving break. Now over Christmas and from here on, we're gonna. No, Carrie, I got an email from you on September 20th. It says, we have already figured out a plan for Cesar to start working on his makeup for his missing terms. How is it going? I'm a little confused on that. I know we've talked about this, and sometimes I got so much going on in my brain that I have to kind of pull back and try and remember. I know I'm responsible for getting his assignments that he's missed throughout these years, correct?
You are just supposed to give him those. I'll have to go back and look, but I can't find it right now off the bat, but we did do something. What you need to do is just jump in, start doing makeup.
Okay.
And then we'll just add numbers. Don't just get going on whatever book, whatever section, and just whatever lessons. He missed a lot. And sister, whatever her name was, I can't remember. She was so lackadaisical about it. She was positive nobody needed credit, nobody cared, nobody did anything. Yeah, don't even start me on it. We went around in circles a few times, right, Hap?
Yeah.
It was.
Oh my gosh.
It was hard to deal with. They don't care. I'm just happy they're coming. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, that was, yeah, she's moved. Yeah. Okay. So sorry you had to deal with that. I had no clue. So I know you sent me an email with what he needs to make up, correct?
Right. I'll resend it.
I am looking through. Sorry, I get a little bit overwhelmed with this. I'm feeling overwhelmed with Cesar. Oh, here's another one from Cesar. Okay. Let's start with his freshman year. Okay.
Oh, it was Sister Mulder. That's right.
That's her name. Okay. Yeah, let's see, what's the word? Confuses me because I have Isaac Roylance who's graduating and he went through her.
Yeah, she marked things differently. I can't, like I said, I went around and around. I'm kind of a dot your I's and cross your T's, and she wasn't doing that. It wasn't, you can't, you're all volunteers. I can't force you to do something.
Yeah.
So I will look back and resend you probably tomorrow because I'm heading out to the temple right now.
Okay. All right.
And then I will, this is for Cesar.
Yeah. Cesar Solis.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I'm just going to go through all your emails and
yeah, I would start in August.
Okay.
You know, in March, if you need to err on the side of mercy on some things with him to get him there.
There's not a problem there. If he really is the kid you're explaining, then we are way willing to work with him. We just need his effort put in before we give the grace and mercy.
Right. No, and I get that too. I think so I just need to be really careful when we meet. I feel like I need to meet with his mom, have a translator, and with Cesar, just
that sounds good.
Make sure that they all understand from, I mean, let's stop the bleeding. So, you know, what I mean? Okay. Yeah. All right. He's just my main concern because I know he wants to, but I don't know if he knows. I don't know.
Yeah, he's far away from graduation, but that doesn't negate BYU.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
It really doesn't. I've seen so many who haven't done it. You just have to get in there as your reference and make sure you point out the reasons why he's far away.
Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. I appreciate
it. A lot of times it's not the child's fault.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't have a driver's license. He needs to get here. Yeah.
All right. I'm out of here.
All right. Bye. Thanks, guys.
See ya. Bye-bye.